of Discovering Nature's Infrastructure Potential, your Eco Asset Symposium. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. The podium is yours.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Council, for this opportunity to talk to you about our Eco Asset Symposium, which we're really excited about. I probably won't be as cheery and effervescent as Megan is, but she was, because of family stuff tonight, she couldn't make it, so you're just stuck with me. The Eco Asset Symposium is being planned by the Comox Valley Land Trust along with many of the members of our community partnership, conservation partnership. And today we'll be requesting the town to consider becoming a symposium sponsor. Now, do I use this to move forward? Great.
Nobody knows.
Someone's got to know, right? I would like to start off by reminding ourselves what eco assets are. They are creeks, wetlands, forests, natural shorelines, floodplains, estuaries. These are all examples of ecological assets. Eco assets can provide some of the same services as traditional infrastructure, like stormwater management, water filtration, flood protection, that are all provided by stormwater pipes, sewers, ditches, and drinking water infrastructure. Eco assets provide free ecosystem services that are less expensive to operate than traditional infrastructure. They appreciate over time and can help address significant infrastructure challenges such as flooding, water quality, and quantity issues. Traditional infrastructure requires increased investment in maintenance and eventual replacement, which adds to the town's infrastructure liability. I'd like to show a video by one of our guest speakers at the symposium. His name is Emmanuel Machado. Some of you may have already heard him. He's the CAO of the town of Gibsons, and he's going to talk just very briefly in this minute and a half about the ecological management management approach that they're using in the town of Gibsons.
We're at White Tower Park, right in the center of Gibsons, and we like to think of it as the kidneys of Gibsons. The vast majority of the stormwater, the rainwater that falls in Gibsons, eventually makes its way through this area. And we're using the natural system, a series of ponds and creeks, and the forest itself, to store and treat and convey the stormwater in a way that has the least impact into the environment. It's nature doing work that we typically would have to design works to mimic even just a fraction of that. And so this is the area that we're proposing to expand to the north of the property to increase the natural capital within this area to continue to deliver services to the community, because we are finding that for roughly the same cost of building man-made infrastructure, we can build something that would last in perpetuity. It has relatively low cost of maintenance, and it provides other services to the community, such as recreation, and not to mention pollination and habitat and other services that we have. So, from our view, it's a fantastic investment, and we're interested in understanding the value of the services that we get, so that we can integrate that information and make better decisions about where to invest public funds.
Okay, let's try that again. Okay. So, by identifying and valuing eco assets, the town can then manage them as part of the town's asset management program. Eco assets can become an important, cost-effective component of the town's infrastructure. Eco assets can help provide ways to address critical issues such as climate change impacts, flooding, water quality, and quantity issues. For example, what role can conserving urban forests, protecting riparian areas, and maintaining natural infiltration play in regulating the hydrology of the Brooklyn Creek watershed to avoid flooding? And we know that some of the flooding caused in Brooklyn Creek doesn't come in within the borders of the town. It comes upstream from Courtenay in the regional district. which is one of the things in our symposium, is that we're having people coming from all over the valley to discuss problems that everyone's occurring. We want people to think like a watershed. Would this solution, asset management solution, be more effective and less costly than hard infrastructure solutions? As another example, how could protecting forests and riparian areas in the Comox Lake watershed provide long-term solutions to water quality issues and improve water quantity during summer low flows? Would protection of these natural assets be more cost-effective than engineered infiltration and water storage solutions? These are two examples of issues that can be addressed through an eco-asset management approach. So why are we proposing a symposium? Well, first is to learn. The symposium will be bringing in professional and community leaders to learn about their work, such as Emmanuel and Gibsons. We can learn firsthand how the town of Gibsons and other communities have benefited from implementation of eco-asset management. Second is to collaborate. The symposium will provide an opportunity for government, First Nations, industry, professionals, climate change experts, and environmental groups to collaborate together in participatory workshops to address challenges such as flooding, water quality, and quantity issues, and preparing our communities for climate change. Thirdly is to initiate actions. A key result of the symposium will be to identify and initiate actions that can be taken through an eco-asset management approach to help address challenges such as climate change adaptation, water quality and quantity issues, and long-term infrastructure liability. The symposium will kick off with an evening keynote address with Emmanuel and a few other panelist speakers. The evening will focus on what is eco-asset management, what are the benefits, and how it is being implemented around the province. Day one is focused for the general public, and we're expecting about a large crowd for that. Day two will be a smaller event, but it'll last all day long, and it'll be focused on specific workshops and how eco-asset management could be implemented locally. This will include a look at causes and potential solutions to flooding, climate change adaptation, sea level rise, water quality quantity issues in the Comox Lake watershed, and, very importantly, how to value ecological assets in asset management planning and in development projects. In the agenda package, I have included a budget and request of the town to consider becoming a symposium sponsor and assisted cost. We have a commitment from the City of Courtenay for $5,000, the Regional Initiative for $2,000, $2,200 from the Real Estate Foundation of BC, and an estimate of in-kind contributions of over $10,000 from guest presenters who have waived their speaking fees, our community partner volunteers who are helping run the event, and other groups and community-minded individuals. We are asking for support from all Comox Valley jurisdictions and other public and private organizations. The evening session on March 14th is free, and the March 15th workshops have a nominal charge of $25 to help cover lunch and refreshment costs. We understand the town does not have a grant and aid budget, so perhaps funding support can come from another source. We are really excited to have the city, the CVRD, the Village of Cumberland as supporting partners so far, and hope the town will come on board as well. Regardless of receiving a sponsorship or not, we hope that there will be good participation from elected representatives and from the town staff. And thank you very much for considering this request.
Thank you, David. Any questions from council?
Yes, and thank you. And it's a great symposium we're putting together, and bringing some great points. So the registration for the workshops on the full day event, do you have? Are you getting a good registration?
Yeah, we just put the registration up last week, so I don't. Megan's in charge of the logistics around the event, Megan Kersons. So I actually don't have the number at this point. But what we're expecting is, our target is about 250 people to come for the evening event. And then the workshops, 100, maybe slightly less. We're hoping the workshops are going to be, not that we're discouraging the public to come because it's open, but we would really want to have professionals, local government staff, stewardship groups, the speakers that we had the evening before, and we're bringing in other resource people from out of town to work at how do you implement it locally. So it's kind of a professional development and action planning type format for the day.
And the development industry too.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention them. Yes, they're being invited as well. We're particularly interested in the engineering companies of the Valley coming because they do a lot of the hands-on work when it comes to development projects or infrastructure installation.
Because it can actually save a lot of money, and that the centre of your project is actually a beautiful space that people enjoy, and that can offset the loss of land space. So, yeah, great.
Yeah.
And are you charging for the day event?
We're just asking a contribution for lunch, right? Because we don't want people leaving, out of this. So we want to have lunch. It's a good opportunity for people to talk to and share ideas and connect with one another. So we're going to have a catered lunch at the event, and it's going to be held at the Philbrook Centre in Courtenay.
And what are the times?
The evening starts Tuesday evening starts at 7. Ends by 9 o'clock, and then the workshops start at 9. Doors will probably open 8:30 in the morning and run to about 4:15.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, David. You mentioned, just make sure I got this right, that the Village of Cumberland is participating, staff are participating in the workshop, and the City of Courtenay staff?
Yeah, well, I don't know how many. I guess again, I haven't seen the registrations yet, but I know that staff from the regional district, I know some of them have registered already because they've already talked to me about it. The same with the Village of Cumberland, and I know there'll be some from Courtenay, I just don't know how many. Yeah.
And my question then for our CAOs, are there plans of any of our staff, town staff, to attend the symposium?
I'm not sure yet. We'll see how it works for the dates and the staff availability.
We just sent the invitations out like end of last week, so.
We'll consider it, definitely.
Councillor Arnott.
Yes, thank you. Very good presentation. But through the mayor to our CAO, is there a way that we can help with a donation of this? We're a little into our year already for spending money, but these types of things. But do we have any discretionary type of funding that we could donate $1,500-ish to?
It's always up to council to do pass a motion and pay out back. There's two things at play here. One is that normally, unless you have unanimous consent, consider a request of delegation from other meeting. So normally we would just refer this to the next meeting, which would be next week. And then you can consider passing a motion at that time.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I don't think we can make a decision on that.
Well, unless it's unanimous. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You've got our attention, David.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, minutes of the meeting. Can I have, please, approval for the council meeting held February 1st, 2017?
Sure.
All in favor? Okay. And we have no committee reports. Unfinished business. Management report. Any discussion? Councilor Smith.
I just wondering if there's any update on these wastewater
Staff are still involved in the background work associated getting some of the more technical aspects put together that we need before we can provide that information to council. And we've also met with representatives of the owners group and provided them with an update as well.
I might also, sorry, I can't speak yet. I have to ask anyone else for sure. Anyone else have questions? To the CAO, our fixed wing search and rescue facility has the word success right across the front of it. Is it perhaps time for that to be removed from our plan?
If council supports that, it's council's document, so we will remove it if everyone is okay with that.
Do I do that in the form of a motion?
You can get a motion to that effect, and that will give us clear direction to remove it.
All in favor? Planning report, proposed Toscano Victoria Mix. First item.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Councillor Swift?
I'm going to support this application this time. I'm pleased that some of the things that were troubling me have been addressed. One of them being the flexibility of that intersection. And I feel with the 6 months notice clause in there that that will satisfy that. So I'm going to be in favor of this recommendation.
Thank you. Any other points? And I'll call the question. All in favor?
I'll move number 2.
And
Motion carried.
you move number 2 as in planner's recommendation number 2?
Right here. We've got 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Second.
So we'll give first, second, and third reading.
Right.
Any
I'll
discussion?
second that.
Yes? All in favor?
I'll
Motion
move
carried.
number 3.
And the same. Second?
I'll second that.
And everyone in favor? Motion carried. And the final one?
One little thing, I know we've moved on, but where it speaks to 8.00 per square foot, it should have a dollar sign in there.
Ah, yes. Noted. Yes, $8 a square foot. Yes, thank you, Councillor Price. Yes. And item 4 then is that a notice of council's intention for road closure and disposition in relation to the bylaw 1846 be given to BC Hydro, Fortis BC, Shaw Cable and Telus.
Move. Second. I do have a question.
Question?
Yes, I have a question on that. If maybe the planner could explain the road closure on that. Why we would need a road closure on for this deck. Could you just enlighten us a little bit?
Certainly. When land is dedicated as a road, it comes automatically with a right of public access over that portion of land. There are also utilities that under the various utility acts have rights of access and rights of use. The only way to extinguish that would be a road closure bylaw, and that's registered in the Land Title Office. In this case, as the portion of land is a road, existing road dedication, and it's to be used for the exclusive use of the restaurant, the public would not have the right of access to it. Nor would the utilities, then the road closure bylaw is required. One of the key points of the parklet is in the license agreements, the public still has access to it. And also it has a much stronger allowance for use of the road for utilities or any kind of construction purposes.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yeah, I have one more
Yes.
question. Might have been a little bit later on this one, but I wanted to question number 14. Just a little bit here. Number 14 on page 26. The owner shall not display any commercial advertisements for any goods, products, or companies on the deck other than the name of Toscanos. So, to be fair to the planner. What about, like, many outdoor decks have the umbrellas, and they're, I don't know how maybe they're comped by, the beverage company. Would that be included in this? Could they have, like, an umbrella that says Kokanee on it or something like that? I'm just wondering if we're a little too restrictive with that.
Under our sign bylaw, anything that gives attention or directs to a product or service is deemed to be a sign. To date, would there have been any staff initiative or no direction from council to go after things like awnings? Not awnings, but the umbrella stands and items like that. Yeah.
So this would be for like all decks, like the Blackfin deck or something like that. This is not just an item that is for this particular deck.
This is just an allowance, or more or less a recognition that on the decks, there is going to be an interest in some signage, so similar to what we have on the grind. And so that it actually allows the vendor to display the name of the business. So, I mean, I would, you know, if Corona were to, there would be Corona umbrellas or something like that. Unless corrected otherwise by council, I would be taking initiative to say that the sign permit, if it said Toscano's on the umbrellas, then that would be something different.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Good question. Any further questions? All in favor then? Motion carried. Hey, now you're smiling. And we have no special reports. Bylaws. 2017-2018 Marina Berthage race.
Oh, yes, I will declare a conflict of interest and I'll be sitting.
Do you have a chair, Councillor?
Why are you stupid?
I'm declaring conflict of interest because I have a vote down in Marina. So
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
And our bylaw reads that the Comox Municipal Marina Fees Bylaw 2017, number 1855, be given first, second, and third readings.
I'll move that.
Second?
Any discussion? I might mention here that the recommendation to council is that there is an increase of 3% in permanent moorage rates and 10% for hydro. And also of note, the town did not increase the rates last year in consideration of the disruption from the construction. And also, another note that we should keep in mind is that modest increase in keeping with our position as price followers amongst other facilities in the harbor. So our increase is 3% and the Comox Marina is 4%. So based on that information, any further discussion?
I just have one question. It says in here somewhere, and of course I can't find it when I want to see it, that we had some vacant berths this year, which would make me kind of think that perhaps our prices are getting to the point of saturation. So I wondered if maybe our treasurer could just give us his thoughts on that.
As far as I understand, people are still leaving their position on the waiting list in their wills to their grandchildren. So I was surprised to learn that there were vacancies through the year. And I would have to defer that question to our Parks, Facilities, and Marina Superintendent Al Fraser upon his return from vacation.
Okay. The information I have regarding that is it's the smaller, is the shorter ones, which I think we covered in the report.
Predominantly, but not exclusively.
Okay, well, I've been on the waiting list since 2011. Just for information.
Once you get in, you'll have to leave the meeting.
I do have a question, and that is with regard to the 10% increase in hydro.
Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor McKinnon.
No, that's good. I'm just going to ask the same question.
I think if you look at the draft financial plan, if you go back and look at it, you'll see there's a fairly large spread between the hydro we're paying and the revenue we're receiving. And I think it's about a 10 grand spread. So we've been losing a lot of money there in the past year. Some of that is because of the construction work down here, because they were allowed to plug into our utilities for construction purposes. But some of it is because for the last several years, hydro has been increasing their rates by at least 5% per year. And as noted, we didn't have any increases last year. We had modest increases the year before. So we definitely have fallen behind. And our goal on hydro is to work towards parity, so that what we're paying in hydro is mostly recovered by hydro fees charged.
That answers the
Thank you
question.
for that clarification.
Any further questions? All in favor? Motion carried.
All right. Get off of that stool.
Now, on to new business. business, planning report, parklet agreement renewal.
Move that.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Another success story.
I was
Yes,
just going to say
Councillor.
that it is a success story, and you'll see even when it's sunny out in the middle of the winter, there's people sitting out there. I think it's a great addition to our downtown,
Great, thank you.
and I'd like to see more.
Yes. Any more discussion? No, all in favor? Motion carried. Census. We have the census results for population
Move receive that.
I'll second that.
and discussion. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just nice to see we didn't hit the 50,000.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes, I think we all like that one. I just might add, though, that the last sentence, sorry, I have to learn. I'm not supposed to talk, am I? I was just going to comment that the last census, our population in Comox was 13,627. And as a result of our 2016 census, the population is now 14,028. So we're growing, but congratulations.
And I think that slow growth is the most easy to accommodate, and I think the look of our town demonstrates that. So, yeah, we are not pushing the envelope, but yeah, very steady.
Something is working well, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McKinney.
Yes, my question is clarification for people watching, hopefully. And if our CEO could explain how that affects our policing briefly.
Once we,
The under 15,000.
yes, once we hit the 15,001 population mark, our policing costs will increase from 70% per officer, what we currently pay, to the 90% threshold. So at current staffing levels, it would mean close to a $500,000 increase per year to this community. So therefore, that's why council established the Public Safety Reserve, made a contribution, and we will hope to make contributions over the next several years to smooth out that increase when it ever comes. If we get lucky, in 2022, when the census data comes out, we may be still under the 15,000 mark, barely. We may have to chase a few people out on census day.
Or could we not just tax the 15,000th person who moves here?
We may have to.
You're the one.
We may have to. We lose, yes.
If I can, CEO, can I also ask our financial planner to say how that's going to be addressed when we do cross that 15,000 barrier, likely in the next census? I know some planning's gone into that, but taxpayers would be interested to know the steps that you're taking for that, please.
Well, the steps were taken by council itself by establishing the Public Safety Reserve and contributing $250,000 to that in 2016. As to what happens in the future, council has control over the financial plan, and God bless you, because I'm retiring at the end of the year, so it's your problem.
You're living in Comox.
You might not be at the next census.
Thanks for making our day.
Any further questions? All in favor? Motion carried. And requesting ministry authorization to write off 2013
I
taxes.
will move that.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
A large sum of money.
For a grand total of $61.76.
Cost
Yes.
more to chase the guy around.
I think it would, yes.
Our perception is going to be out there, however, that we're soft.
I don't think so.
Director West?
Your Worship, this is an extraordinary sort of situation. In the normal course of events, with tax sales and the normal collection methods, we can collect on literally every penny. So even though the amount is small, we have to go through this process to get the ministry approval for the write-off. And we'd only be doing it in circumstances like this, where a folio literally disappeared and there's nothing left to collect the taxes on physically.
It's a process. Thank you very much. Any further? All in favor? Motion carried. Correspondence. Letter from Barbara Martin, read a thank you note and questioning our transit for...
Move receipt?
I'll
Yes.
second that.
Great. Any discussion on that? Comments?
Well, just to note that the transit system is, or that the transit is run from the regional district, and they are looking at how to get buses down there, but the problem is with the size of the buses and the turning radius to get them around some of the corners to get down there, so they are looking into it, but, so it's not the first time we've heard that, but there are there is some rationale for why it's hard to do.
Thank you, Councillor Grant.
Do you have a
Yes.
Yeah, maybe through you to Councillor Grant, being on the board and talking about the transit, why is it that we continually have the large buses in town when the ridership doesn't always reflect the need for it? Is there not a possibility that they could go with smaller buses, or on certain routes, say for example the route that would take people down to the marina, have smaller buses?
There is some rationale for that in that some buses run different routes, so it may look like there's nobody on it when it's doing a short route, but that same bus will run another route later in the day, so they do it that way, but they are looking into that. BC Transit is having a look to see if we can get smaller buses, get more options, and make it a better service, so that is all being looked into.
Okay, thank you.
Because the larger buses do give more options. The major cost is the driver, the staffing cost. So you're quite right. To have one or two smaller buses in the fleet would be better, but there's a lot more flexibility for little extra cost for large ones.
Councillor Swift?
No, Sean?
Oh,
I was also just going to add that they are doing, my understanding is a bit of a pilot project with smaller buses currently. And you may see some of the, we think of them as handy dart buses that are actually being put onto some of the regular runs.
They're in the non-rush hours, I understand.
Right.
Yeah, so that's being put into place by them.
And one of the things when you see a lot of empty buses, and this is not me saying it, this is the BC Transit people, is they're saying that when the bus is coming to and from the yard, of course, it's empty until it gets to its first stop. So you see that bus in the morning and in the evening going home empty. That's their take. Not sure I'm
Councillor
buying
McKinnon.
it.
I'll just say that with our population and the average age of our population is older than most communities, I think we're very fortunate to have the transportation system we have. And I think it's going to, there'll be a need for it to grow in the future as well.
agreed. Now, motion, all in favor to receive the letter? Thank you. Marilyn Machin, also correspondence regarding Shakeside.
Move receipt.
Second.
Any comments, discussion? Okay.
Just
Motion.
make note that we are in here accused of discriminating against development, or no, what is it? Focusing on development and economics, and yet we have the slowest growth rate in the valleys. I question that a little bit.
Well, we have a poem written about this.
And I think it's very important to highlight that the park itself has had a lot of investment in it and is well used and well cared for, and people seem to overlook that, and some of the information I've seen sounds like we turned our back on the legacy. And I think Mac Lang's greatest love was nature and the protection of nature and protection of that land in Brooklyn Creek. And Comox has done a lot to make Brooklyn Creek into a much more productive for salmon and dealing with development pressures. So it's just nice to have a little balance in that discussion.
Well,
Appreciate that.
and I don't want to get into a whole debate about it here, but I do need to say too that, you know, some people forget that approximately 5-ish years ago that there was a fellow up here, I believe he might have been from the Mac Lang Society, said that they had no interest in that Shakeside house. And they they appreciated the house is there, but they didn't have any interest to retain that house. They were looking for the other house that really was not part of this whole will. So it's interesting now that, all this is ensuing, but I think that the point is a lot of people need to do a little bit more homework about this before, they go off on a tangent and accuse us of all sorts of nasty things. So.
And their report actually did say that the shake site wasn't worth keeping in because of the flooding in the basement, but and advocated for seeing it removed. So, there may be a little understanding of the struggle that we have, which perhaps comes with that.
And the public is more than welcome to go online to the archives in the town of Comox regular council meetings and find the video that they speak there.
Good comments, Council. Any further comments? Okay, next correspondence is a letter from Liz Naish regarding electric car charging points.
Move to see.
Discussion. Perhaps CAO, may I put you on the spot and ask for some comments from you regarding how you might respond to this letter?
Well, we are generally in support of getting additional car charging stations within the community, and our approach has been to work with new developments as it comes forward to get stations put in place that would benefit the community, particularly with this new program. We may look at accessing it to try and get some stations in the downtown core, but it may be done in conjunction with some development that's coming. So it's a supported position, and we're starting to actually see a few more electric cars that are using even the town's charging station as recently as this week. So it's starting to gain traction, so we'll follow suit and do our best as well.
Thank you very much. Great. Late items we have. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I vote?
Oh, do we vote on that?
No.
For
Not on
correspondence?
receipt, not yet.
Pardon me?
You haven't voted on receipt yet.
Oh,
So we first and seconded. Yeah.
so, on receipts, and it's being seconded? Yes.
That's it. This is
All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Shelley. Now, late items, we have none.
Well, is this do we need to request information about the symposium for our next meeting, or is that?
Oh.
Is that?
The matter, of course, we would put it on the agenda for next week, at the committee of the whole.
Okay. Thank you. And delegations? No. Reports to the member of council. Mr. Grant.
No, I knew you were going to do that. That's just
Did
what
you?
I'm totally unprepared to do. Thank you for that. I attended last week the Water Commission meeting where I made a motion there to send a delegation of the town of Comox and Courtney to lead a delegation to visit with the ministers in order to talk about getting some leniency on our 1 NTU thing, so that we wouldn't have as many boiled water advisories, and also to talk to them about fixing the issue in Perseverance Creek with the clay coming down the hill. And it seems to me that we are being the harmed party, the people on our water system, and we have a issue up in the hill that's costing us not only financially, but it's also a health risk to us up in the hills, and that we should go down and ask that that be remedied. So that is in the works. I also attended the Sports Commission meeting where Mana was voted in as the chair, and Comox Valley Regional District meeting. There was also an in-camera meeting with that, and I also attended a meeting with the Regional District CAO Search Committee for a new CAO. So that's my report.
You've been busy. Thank you. Councillor Arnott.
I haven't had much, just had some ongoing discussions with the Community Justice Center about the way forward and with our new president, and talked about the need for maybe a meeting, but nothing out of the ordinary, so that was good.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Oh, well, being under the weather all last week, I had a very quiet week, so I have no meetings to report on. But I would like to let you know that the Philbird Lodge is holding 2 open houses in honor of Heritage Week. One of them being on February the 19th and one on the 22nd. And they're going to be from 11 until 4. So there you go, an opportunity to take a tour of the lodge.
We'll take advantage of it. Thank you. Councillor Prince.
Yes, I too attended the Water Committee, and we received the voting structure, which there was some discussion on because it's related to consumption. We have Courtney has 7 votes out of the 13. We have 3.
I forgot it's my annual rant.
So not that it's had a deleterious effect, but just the potential for one entity, when there's 5 entities, for one entity to carry the vote. Last year it was the veto vote. So we had some discussions on checks and balances in that. And there is actually a process of dispute resolution process in one of our policies that we need to look in and just see if that would be the tool, if it ever was a problem. And we did look at, basically water rates generate, because we're in the budget process, water rates generate the revenue, and so we have seen the proposed increases in bulk water rates, which should cover our needs for the next 5 years. We have about 20 million in reserves for the filtration plans, and there is a certain level of confidence that we will be looking at least 50% grant money, hopefully more, but we will have a better idea of what the application will look like in the spring. And yes, and we're going down to Victoria. And we also had the Sports Commission. Again, we reviewed the budget, and we talked a little bit about the revenue from facilities, and that there is a very fine balance in that, because if your costs go up too much, then you cut out people's ability to go, and in fact your revenue goes down. So we do have a 2% increase each year in rates. We also had Committee of the Whole, and CFED budget was received. We do have a clause in the contract which allows us to change the contract amount with the withdrawal of Cumberland from the commission, and so because we're seeing about 12,000 reduction, and then by the time we get about 3 years on, we'll be seeing $50,000 reduction. So that's still a question as to whether we reduce their budget or whether we increase our contribution. And so you should be glad I found this little scruffy document. I was going, I'm going to have to throw myself on your memory. So,
I was just looking through that.
that was on the counter for the last minute grab. And so today we had the Integrated Transportation Committee, and the major project is the route along Comox Road, looking at better cycling facilities. It's generally people felt that the multi-use trail, separate multi-use trail, was the best option. It's tricky because there isn't a lot of road width there. Comox Hill is always an obstacle in all this. But we are lucky we've got the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure on the committee, so we are working together, and we are hoping to have First Nations join the committee because that's a big component. And today we did vote to send letters to First Nations and to Courtney and Comox about a presentation. Because there's been quite a lot of work done by regional district staff on options, and whether it's on either side of the road, whether it's a multi-use path on the ocean, on the estuary side. So that should be happening soon. And of course, there's always some requirements for money if we are going ahead. Because there is 50% grants out there through the cycling, bicycle, I can't remember what it's called this morning. But to get the other 50%, we would be looking at regional district. Important, so.
And there is the option of using carbon tax.
That was raised, and yes, you're quite right, yes.
So
Yeah.
that was
So
what
we
got the
could
whole discussion started, was that we could possibly finance
contribute.
part of it that way.
Thank you.
I do have a question. What kind of dollar figures are being out there for this?
Well, there was a couple of scenarios spoken about, and one was the one that was the separated multi-path on the estuary side. I think our share would be 80,000, and then splitting the path on either side of the road, probably 40,000. Anywhere between that, and there could be some other options in that. There is going to be a technical workshop.
Yeah, I think it's important that they actually have a separation from the road as the diagram, because otherwise it looks like a big shoulder, and that's a scary road. I've walked it a few times.
And the challenge.
The
2 o'clock in the morning. 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
It's the walk that does.
And we have the Cycling Coalition too, and we have people with handicap, and they're trying, they want to bring out also their concerns that with a multi-use path, you can create ideal conditions for the walker and little kids on bikes and the person who only rides at weekends, but for the commuter it can be a problem. So trying to meet all those needs in that application is going to be a challenge. But yeah, but I think working together it could be a real, and then we could see how it connects into our walkway
It's
too.
definitely needed.
And then I also attended Comox Archives and Museums Society meeting, and our AGM is on the 25th of March, Saturday the 25th in Lion's Den, and I think it starts at 1, but I will remind everybody again near the time. And we do have a new exhibit at the museum featuring local people. Have a chance to look in. Take and take. Thank you. I'm sorry.
You have been busy.
Yes, and I did miss a meeting.
Yes. Councillor McKinney.
Yes, just 3 items to report. I did replace Councillor Price at the Integrated Regional Transport Committee meeting the week before, and it sounds like she undid all my recommendations there. To reiterate that the shared bike and walking lane along the Dyke Road is a great concept, but it gets complicated when you come to Comox Hill. And so that needs to be sorted out, and that's great. On behalf of Council, I attended a February 3rd, a vigil at St. John the Divine for the victims of the Quebec City massacre, a multi-denominational vigil, and it was well attended. February 4th, a funeral for our unfortunate kayaker that passed away here, Brent Duncan, held here in Comox. And this past Sunday, the Lunar Fest at the Native Sons Hall, hosted by the Comox Valley Multicultural Society, and heard a performance there, and there was a very good turnout for that event as well. That's my report, Your Worship, and I might say a very well-dressed Your Worship today, compared to our regular mayor.
Well done, you did a great job.
Thank you for your patience.
Although I will note, you assured me we'd be done by 6, and it's almost 3 after.
Any questions from the media? No? Oh, good. Thank you. Any questions from the public? So,
Nomination.
yes, would you move? Second? Do I say motion carried?
All in favor? We vote.